Welcome to the CrossBorder24 Podcast. I'm quite happy that I have you here as CrossBorder24. We recently just rebranded ourselves. You know, the former brand name was not anymore useful and really not anymore relevant to us. We were not really consulting and we were not really doing it only in Hungary. So now we are CrossBorder24. And as of that, I'm happy that I can welcome our first guest in this podcast, David Cikanek, who is an expert on Amazon, and he is also helping European brands scale in all European and non-European markets as well on Amazon. David works with brands that are not just launching on Amazon, but building scalable international marketplace presence across all these countries. David, welcome to our podcast. Your presentation, Agora session, workshop, really added value to our conference at the beginning of February, the Marketplace and Cross-Border Summit. I was wondering, did you have some time to relax? Tell me about your current projects and your plans after, introducing yourself to our viewers and listeners.
Okay, thank you guys for having me. I'm David, I'm from Prague, and thank you for the compliment. And it's super interesting for me to speak in Hungary and Budapest because I've been doing the marketplaces for almost 10 years, ninth year. And I remember I'm from Czech Republic, and I remember when we've been launching the wave, and we've been in the beginning of people were just asking what are marketplaces, what's Amazon, everything, something which was already well known in Western Europe and the US. Obviously, it just came into Czech Republic 2020, somewhere around it. The hype started a little bit more, and I just see exactly the same situation over here. So I'm glad I can be here, and people inviting me to those events, and I just see the same hype maybe 4 or 5 years ago in Prague. So it's it's repeating itself, and and right now it's pure mainstream in it's no longer the kind of hype in Czech Republic. Maybe here it is. So I'm just giving you what I already learned in my country.
Let me ask you maybe a personal question, because I know for you for quite a long time. How is it different supporting now? You're supporting brands on Amazon, but you were also a seller of your own, right? Back in the years, back in 2020 or maybe before that.
No.
How is it? How is it different now with sellers and being your own seller?
I was little bit of the seller back in the days, before the agency time, before everything, so it's completely different. Everything is much bigger, everything is much harder, more competition, more requirements, but more customers, more cost, everything is bigger, and it's becoming for more and more professional sellers, because I remember the days where pretty much everyone who could somehow outsource the manufacturing to China, and you just manufacture anything with your name on it, you have a high chance to sell it on Amazon. Those times are gone for many years. Now it's more professional sellers, professional brands are taking over it, and it just makes sense only for a bigger and a bigger. However, the pie is also bigger and bigger because Amazon consistently grows by maybe 20% a year, even with their size, which is quite impressive. So it's just for the smaller and smaller fraction of high quality sellers. However, this smaller fraction is generating more and more revenues. It is double-edged sword, right? So if you're amongst the 10% of the people on the top, you're super happy. However, it used to be for smaller sellers, and all those stories I see, it's sometimes that Amazon is doing the promotion, like the single mom is doing the manufacturing something, or the veteran from Afghanistan. It's those are exceptions. Usually, most of the catalog is run by corporations who already know what they're doing. So it's just get professionalized, and it's becoming harder and harder each year. It's harder.
I see. And now that you started crunching the numbers, let's just ground everything in numbers. So now that we're talking about numbers, let's ground everything in statistics before we jump into the discussion of markets and opportunities, challenges in all the countries that could be interesting for our Hungarian, Polish, German, European viewers, as you are interested in Amazon, probably as you are listening to this podcast. So David, what I have in front of me is pretty much general statistics on Amazon, but the most important thing is, I think, a very recent piece of news from the end of 2025, so last year. Amazon just surpassed Walmart in annual sales, accessing to 680 billion in revenue annually, whereas Walmart only had 600 billion. But Amazon collects roughly half of this from marketplace fees and anything that relates to marketplace services and third-party services. So I was wondering, how much of an opportunity Amazon is for sellers that are entering these countries like Germany, the UK, or the US, maybe Japan, Australia, and so on and so forth, and how much of a competition is there? So what would you say about this number? How would you reflect on this in terms of opportunities and challenges?
Like, the interesting for me is that Amazon does all the revenues online. They have some physical stores here and there. Yeah, there are some, but they're like super tiny. And Walmart, obviously, they have the marketplace, which is growing pretty fast. Still, it's just a fragment of what Amazon does, but vast majority is made by the physical stores, the retail, right? So that's a big difference. They sell it physically because they have Walmart in every single small town. And Amazon does it dominantly online. That's the big difference on it. And the opportunity versus the threat, it's like, if you have the capacity, skill, niche product, and presence outside Amazon on the general online US market, then go for it. It's just, I've seen just a fraction of the sellers being able to, who's capable of capturing tens of thousands of people online in US from Europe, who have the capacity? Usually it's just like big companies. Smaller or medium sellers are just not having enough skill and financials to actually be able to do it. So that's when Amazon came in and say, I can shorten the way and be the fastest and cheapest, even if Amazon is not that cheap. It's like cheaper than anything else because of the like high conversions that they have. That like, it's usually the number one way how to promote your products. There are some cases where it's actually, the different strategy is better, but I've seen so little of that. Mostly it's like middle-sized brand, have a good product, want to expand, then Amazon is the answer. In USA, it's like, actually there isn't any other marketplace such as Amazon, because if you look at the revenues, the other online players are like so much smaller. Then like you don't have much of a other opinion, much of the other options to do. In Europe, in some countries, there is. You can go to Germany, and there's obviously Amazon still dominant, but there are like 5 other marketplaces which are I'm not say comparable, they're smaller, but you can get substantial amount of revenue on that.
Are we talking about Otto and Kaufland, for example?
Yeah, you can go Otto, you can do Kaufland. Even eBay is super strong in Germany's Germany as well, and so on. So there you have like more options, more fragmented, because in Europe there's generally like Amazon is dominant in all the Western countries, but in each country there are some super strong local players, right? So you go to each country and there's like Amazon versus 5 locals or something like that. In US, it's not like that. The gap between Amazon and everyone else, it's just much bigger. But the argument is still the same. Usually it's like about the cost and effectiveness. Is like, you can go with the traditional expansion, set up the store, do the socials and everything. It's like, do it. Do both if you want. It's just isn't much faster way how to get 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 customers use Amazon because it's already developed, it has Prime and everything. We're probably going to talk about in a minute. So yeah, so it's like about what's more effective in the situation. I remember when the expansion was the biggest theme in the Czech Republic a couple of years ago, it was people been saying like it's a web shop versus the marketplaces, like it's one or the other. I would say it's not one or the other, it's like both together. It's more like push-pull, when and what's more applicable. And I would say in like 8 out of 10 cases, usually the start, if we're talking about start, is like, I want to get first 10,000 customers. The answer is usually Amazon.
And would you say, as we're talking about omni-channel strategies right now, would you say that I agree with you fully? Marketplaces are very strong and very an aggressive way to enter a market, so you can quickly grow your sales in a new market. But would you say that omnichannel works better if you are considering, let's say, Germany more than just Amazon, but you are also considering Kaufland, Otto, and eBay at the same time, and you are launching all of these 4 at the same time? Or would you have like a step-by-step plan if you were, let's say, a Czech seller entering Germany?
It's funny. In the beginning of the year, I made commitment that I'm not supporting any other marketplace than Amazon because of this reason, because it's like so complex and so big that I just want to fully concentrate on Amazon only. It doesn't, okay, again, it's if you have the capacity, do all the marketplaces and all the markets and do everything. It's just, do you have the capacity? Usually the middle-sized brands, there's one CEO, which is usually the founder, or, there's one chief of marketing and the founder. So the team is usually like a couple of decision makers that have limited, and they still have their own company in their country or countries where they are right now. So if you can hire 5 more, executive people with super high skill and they can leverage all the platforms, like do it, that's great. It's just, usually it's not the case. Usually it's one platform at a time.
I see.
Just to be able to be effective. That's what I see.
All right, I see what you mean. And you also talked about Amazon being the dominant player in the US, for example. Let's now check this from the seller side. The competition is pretty big in the US. I know that worldwide we have like close to 10 million sellers overall, totally in all markets, and 1.9 million of them are active sellers worldwide. And I think it's 1 million in the US that are actively selling. What would you say about the competition? What are the most important factors that you have to take into consideration when it comes to entering the new markets, so that you can win this competition and the buy button competition in the US or any other markets on Amazon? What are the, let's say, top 3 criteria?
Okay. The 10 million mark is it's like all the sellers throughout the 20 years. The 2 or 1.9 is actually like the active we're competing against. But funnily enough, if you look at the revenue per competitor, the best stat is in the US because it's so big. So yes, in the US, there's like the biggest amount of competitors, but also there's even more customers. So if you're looking for the larger pie, the larger pool of the customers, that's usually US. And the criteria for me, number 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10, it's product.
I see.
And like, this is, when I was like researching for the workshop you've been like quoting in the beginning when we did a couple of weeks ago, I need to admit in the beginning of the workshop that there are 2 components. One is how good is the product and how good is presented, which is like my work. And I need to admit that it's like 49% is my work and 51% is the actual product. That if the product is great, then everything goes well. But if the fundamentals of the product is just copy of what's existing, but with higher price and no actual brand awareness, it's like there's nothing you can do with that. It's like that just doesn't work. Amazon is the beast of targeting the customers. He actually like can see all the stats, all the conversions, clicks, impressions, everything around. They can see it and they can target very precisely your customers. So if your product is good inside the respective category, they can very detailed target, okay, this customer is most likely to buy, I will show them your product. So that's why Amazon has the most convertible sites on the whole internet, with like averagely maybe 10% conversion rate. Just like web store probably are like 1, 2, if you have over 3%, you like probably very good web store. Amazon has 10 consistently worldwide on all the continents in all categories. It's like 10%, so that's dream. So they can they can be super targeted. That's why I would say that criterion number one would be positioning of my product and actually know the competitors. Because also the biggest mistake is I don't know my competitors. Like I'm just gonna try it. I see people these are selling and have pretty much the same product. So that means I'm gonna sell the same numbers. Like no, it's just you're looking at the old records of someone who already did that. So the product and positioning of the product, because I would say if we have the winning product, then everything else it's much easier.
As we are also managing at CrossBorder24 quite a few marketplace accounts on Amazon in particular as well, I'm going to ask you a question that might seem like I don't know my job, but I'm going to ask you so you can say it. What are the top tools that you use for, let's say, competitor analysis on Amazon? What kind of digital tools can you use when it comes to your competition, but also, let's say, search engine optimization, anything like that, as you prepare to enter a new market?
It's becoming quite a standard that everyone is using pretty much the same tools. Like Helium, Jungle Scout are just the standard for the competitors. I love Data Dive. It's one tool I respect a lot. That I use the most. But to be honest, all the tools, you actually need to pull the data about the keywords and the sales of the competitors. And to be honest, I tested most of them and the results are pretty much the same. Like there's no, so pick one, try one, do whatever. It's just, you need to have the data. Second part of it would be, obviously I have the best results with Perplexity and Claude giving me the best answers for understanding Amazon and giving me the best answers for it. I don't have any extensive knowledge on those tools. It's just I push the same question for all the AI tools, and I say, okay, give me some analysis of this category or this competitors or my product. I can see that those tools particularly giving me most reliable results. So if you combine the LLMs with the because those LLMs, they don't see the search results, the search volumes, they don't see the sales, they don't see inside the Amazon API. It can change in the future, but they don't see inside the catalog. They just see sometimes what the customer sees. So you need to combine the data from inside Amazon, which you need to pay those tools. It's not that important, not that expensive. And then what I would do, I would just like copy paste it into those LLMs, and they can help you with the interpretation of the data. That's usually what I do, which is kind of standard. It's not surprising. I would say that everybody in the industry is doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So your advice for sellers entering Amazon is like the recipe is to use Helium 10 plus Cerebro, and then go with some like LLM to analyze the results from these tools, Perplexity, for example, or ChatGPT, I would say.
And I would,
then build a strategy from that, right?
Plus your own time of like usually the founders or whoever's like responsible for it, his own time to actually look at what the customers are buying right now, because the LLMs get my kind of sense from it is like they agree with you most of the time, which is like not doing you a good job sometimes, so you need to look as a customer. I would say here are the data from Helium, here is some interpretation from LLMs, and then the last part is like me as a customer or as a founder, I will look at the category and say, why is this product actually selling well? What is the formula that they are actually that competitive, or they have so much margin on it? And what can I do to actually be better or different? And maybe there's nothing I can do. Maybe they're on every single retail store and drugstore and gas station in the country. So it's like, well, the actual recipe is they're doing it for 10 years and have like super deep pockets. Yeah, so I wouldn't underestimate, because if you just push the data and ask the LLMs, they will usually give you some crappy answers about how high potential you are, even if you don't. So yeah, you need to give there some like critical thinking by your own as a customer. Why should you actually pick this over that?
All right. I really like this idea for sure. Let's now talk about a very important side of Amazon that is very different from any other marketplaces, or maybe most of the marketplaces in Europe. We're talking about the first party versus the third party revenue share. As opposed to, let's say, Allegro or eMag or other marketplaces, how do you see that on Amazon? So maybe let me help you with maybe one single number. So more than 60% of the revenue share of all sales on Amazon comes from independent seller, third-party sellers. Is this telling us that it's an opportunity for sellers, that they can sell there and be successful? And Amazon is moving away from first-party selling, so selling their own products under their own name? Or what does it tell us?
Well, all of those marketplaces, they developed from being just retailer in the beginning. So their core was we selling the stuff. That's why they still have the first party, even if they usually make more money on the platform, which is the same for Amazon. They still keep, now it's, I would say, less than 40%, maybe 30% is the first party, the retail. So what they do, they keep the big brands as a retail, they control it. And if you look at what Amazon is actually selling, it's very small portfolio. There's like the catalog wise is not huge. It just in some categories they sell the best sellers, or they have their own best sellers, right? So what does it tell to you? It's like, if your competitor is Amazon, then you need to actually, like, first of all, they're a rough competitor just by the size. Second of all, they're maybe not, they're like over everybody in some cases, while, on paper they shouldn't be, in practice they sometimes are. So it's like, if your category is full of Amazon products, then it's like big red flag. But again, it should, like, inside the analysis, you should see it. So if like your catalog is full of Amazon products, then it's like, don't go there, or go there with like just knowing that, right? But it's very limited number of categories, and usually most of them it's driven by the sellers. Most of the growth of Amazon is driven by the sellers. And if you look at the last 15 years, it's actually the part what's Amazon selling themselves, it's shrinking down, or is at least not growing, to be honest. And the growth is driven by the individual sellers, because if some new trend comes in, if some new brand, the sellers are super fast going there. But before the actual retail buys it and store it and everything, it takes time. So I don't think that there is like some like great message for the sellers. It's like all the numbers you see about Amazon, just take account that maybe 1/3 is generated by the first party. So you need to put this aside. It's still quite big, so nobody really cares. And then, but just be careful about the categories. I remember that it's all data 3+ years, but I saw some stat that the small batteries which you put into just small electronics, it was like 90% controlled by Amazon. They either have their own private label, or they resell the Duracell, all the big brands as the retail. So it was like, if you are a manufacturer of those small batteries, it's probably not a good idea to go on Amazon, because you're just going against the biggest of the biggest, right? But outside of that extreme, then it's like, if your category, there isn't much of the crowd, it's like, fine, you can ignore that Amazon is selling something else.
After all, we're only talking about 12 million products out of 350 million on Amazon that are first-party products. I mean, 12 million that are first-party products, and 350 million that are third-party products. So what you're saying, depending on the category, it might be a bigger share, but there are some few categories where Amazon is pretty much the only seller, like electronics, I would say, like small electronics, maybe parts of it. And then the rest of the categories can be dominated by third-party sellers, right?
Yeah, I don't even know these numbers about how many products are sold first-party, third-party. I remember there was a website which calculates number of Amazon articles, but it stops because it's being so ridiculously high that like it's just like it's a lot, and that's all. So it's not about the number of products, as we said. It's all about the revenue and respective categories. So yeah, if you are in a category where Amazon is super dominant, then and again, it's not like it's something inherently different about the category. It's like your competitor is most or third most valuable company in the world. That itself is a problem. And not taking account that it's actually owner of the platform. That's another problem, and sometimes makes some lawsuits and something like that. That Amazon is giving his a little bit more help than they should. However, just the part, it's like you want to sell in a retail and in some drugstore, and they have their own private label. It's like, yeah, they have the data about what's selling. That's why they have private label. However, they are also like one of the biggest companies in the country. So it's like there is nothing inherently different about the category. It's just like your competitor is big, so you need to know that. That's it.
So that's pretty much the same as all markets, all other channels.
It's pretty much the same game everywhere. Yeah.
I see. All right. Now, after we crunch the numbers, let's talk about countries in particular, and pretty much then we're going to concentrate on the 3 most competitive, but also sometimes the most successful markets for Amazon sellers in Europe. That is Germany, the UK, and the US. So now let's move on to countries. So now that we talked about Amazon in general, let's rank the countries. So what I'm going to ask you, David, now to do is I'm going to give you a country, 10 or maybe 11 altogether, and you have to place them. I'm going to give you a random order. This is pretty much like a TikTok trend, so that's pretty much the same as what we do
so
there.
S tier to D tier, okay.
Correct. So let's start first. I'm going to give you 1, and then please rank it. Put it somewhere from 1 to 10 when it comes to challenges and opportunities for European sellers. And just, give me a short answer,
okay.
Maybe some background to it if that's necessary. All right, so the first one that I'm going to give you is a pretty obvious one for European sellers, France. How would you place that? Where would you place that?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Second biggest in EU after Germany.
Yeah.
So we rarely start there. We usually move there after Germany.
I see. So France is third place.
Okay.
The next one will be like, I'm going to give you Germany then, let's say.
Obviously. So second, since biggest in Europe, closest also, and we have the advantage as a Czech that it's super close to us. So we have the small advantage that the shipping to Germany costs the same as Germans usually, but the biggest in Europe, a third, I believe, biggest in the whole world for Amazon. So number 2.
All right. So number 2 is Germany, and number 3 is France. All right. So how about, let's say, another market that's developing, an emerging market for Amazon, which is going to be like a mix of 2, or maybe let's say a couple of countries, Belgium and the Netherlands. Where would you place that?
Somewhere around like 6, maybe.
6,
7.
6, 7. Would you say that Bol is pretty much domineering? I'm sorry. Would you say that Bol is so dominant in these markets that Amazon is not really the most competitive choice?
Bol, it's dominant, but Amazon is getting closer. That's why right now Bol used to reject almost all the foreign sellers. Now they're accepting some, not all, the foreign sellers. Why? Obviously this reason. They see that they have, the enemy at the gates, as the movie it is. So Belgium is interesting from Amazon's standpoint, that all the old countries of Amazon, France, Italy, Germany, Amazon is dominating there because they entered the market between 2000 and 2010 roughly. And then after 2020, they entered four more markets where they're super small, except the Belgium. In the Belgium, and because of the position and because of all other countries, they're growing pretty fast, and they're probably number 2 after Bol. And, it's still a long way to the Bol. However, I would say it's, but as a standalone, that's why I rank it under standalone, small. You usually do it in a mix with a European mix.
I see.
So you go after the Germany, France, and other countries. You launching these countries because it's easy for you. You already have pretty much everything. It's just go just there. I don't see the point.
I pretty much agree with you, by the way. Going just there would be like a wasted opportunity for other countries like that. And Germany would and France would probably come before the Benelux. How about if we consider, let's say, Italy? It's a big market in the European market.
What was the France? Third?
France, you placed third.
Okay, so Italy is 4. Italy's 4 just because of the size. Mm-hmm. However, if you look at the relative numbers, Italians love Amazon the most from all the European countries. Mm-hmm. Don't know why. Don't ask me. I don't know. Maybe some Italian can answer it. But if you look at the market shares and all the stats inside the country, I hope I have it right, that Italy is just most loved by local customers.
Mm-hmm. So Italy would be number 4?
Yeah.
How about the UK then?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Would you like to change it?
Yeah.
You still can change it.
Okay, so UK is number second. Number third.
So let's move France and Italy down.
Let's move it down.
All right.
The UK is great. UK is big. Also, almost as big as Germany. There's a small difference in the size. Mm-hmm. There are 2 problems with UK for European. Obviously, not in the EU anymore. So there's one extra step of import duty. All of the other rules are the same. It's just you need to import the products there. So there's one more problem you need to solve, usually solved by the carrier. And a second one is usually the place where the US brands are starting their expansion because of the language, obviously. And the regulations are pretty much the same. So it's like the first entry point for the US. So you will see more US brands in the UK than in other countries. So that's making it a little bit more competitive. Mm. But still, the great market, same rules as everywhere else. I would place it after Germany third. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. And did you see after Brexit? I know that a lot of brands and a lot of companies just exited, like Britain did. Did you see a change in the competitive arena, let's say, in Amazon in the UK after that? So maybe it's less competitive right now.
It still is less competitive. That's quite bizarre. That after Brexit, a lot of people left because nobody really knows what's going to happen, and I'm not sure if the same number of foreign competitors is back. I would lie if I say I know. I don't know. But for many years after Brexit, the people didn't come back. Mm-hmm. Maybe right now, after whatever years it is after Brexit, they are back. But for a long time, the competition was mostly local. Mm-hmm. And the foreign sellers were coming back pretty slowly. Obviously, the bigger ones solve it the fastest because they need it. Mm-hmm. But for, let's say, the middle-sized seller for which Amazon was just another revenue stream, was like another complexity on already very complex Amazon problematic. So it's like, well, it generates me 20% of my revenue, and the UK is generating me whatever, 20% of that 20%. So should I really bother with that? No, just switch it off. And they sometimes never came back. So yeah, I would say that for average seller, it's becoming more complicated. However, if you're big enough, then you solve it. Sooner or later, you will solve it.
Mm-hmm. I see. So UK third place,
yeah.
Germany is the second.
Yeah.
All right. And then we moved everything down a bit. How about then the next one? So very strange choice that I will have here, but Sweden. How about Sweden? There is also Amazon in Sweden.
I don't know what's going to come next, but right now is the 10, is the last. Just the size. Amazon enters it 20 or 21, not sure, as one of the latest expansions, and it's more like soft launch. They're kind of just there. They're not pushing that hard. Why? Don't need to be the biggest. They just, but if I look at like my clients, my sellers, and I look at the revenue from Sweden, it's super minimal, a couple of percentage, if so. So if you skip Sweden as Amazon, you'll probably not make any difference.
Not really counting in the game, so not really a new country.
Yeah.
But would you say that Finland would be the next up there? So maybe they soft launch in Finland, or would you say the PHH group and Pigu would be so competitive there and would be so dominant on those Baltic markets that Amazon is not really interested in this game?
Well, like I stopped guess where Amazon's going next because it's like you never know. It's changing. There were a time where like people have some feelings that it might come into the Czech Republic because it for many reasons it makes sense logistically and geographically and so on. It doesn't make any sense by the size of the market, and I think it's the same for all the other countries that we can name of that. Amazon, like, here's the point. Amazon, for example, in Czech Republic, he is in somewhere in a 15th place, the biggest store in the country. Why they are not actually pushing?
Yeah, without even trying.
Just by the global brand, right? And this is so their revenue from those countries where they are not, they just like enable the shipping, and that's all. That's all, and they're actually expanding into other countries just with the Prime Videos and with other services. So the actual physically move the catalog there, it's the most expensive for them. So for them, much better is like the Twitch is owned by Amazon, has 70% all across the streaming platforms, the gaming streaming platforms, all across to Europe. The AWS, the infrastructure, also 80% plus probably in some categories. The Prime Video, they can just translate the most prospective shows and expand it to some country without actually physically being in the country. So I think like we say Amazon, we need the web store, but for them it's more like maybe they would say we are in Finland with like those branches. We're just not there with this product, which is super expensive to launch. So I don't think that we will see some other crazy expansions for Amazon in terms of the localization. They will grow as a global brand because, for example, in Czech Republic, what they can do right now, the Amazon Prime does not deliver to Czech Republic. If you have a Prime in Poland or a Prime in Germany, which I do, I still need to pay extra €2 for the extra delivery from the borders
from Germany,
from Germany or from Poland to Czech Republic. While if you look where the like storage warehouses are or where the highways are, for them to deliver to Prague is actually cheaper than to deliver to Gdańsk sometimes or some other some other cities. So what can happen is like they can say, okay, now Czechs have the same Prime cost as Polish or Germans for the one price, and they can capture a lot of the market just by doing that. So those like the smart movements they probably will do because they cost pretty little for them. Not just like physically we're going to launch the office and everything's going to be localized. That's super expensive. I don't think they're going to do it in some years.
Still, fingers crossed that you're not going to have to pay €2 extra as a Czech citizen of yourself. But let's talk about another country that would be interesting for us. So now we talked about a bit like Sweden. I think we also have to talk about now Ireland probably as a new development.
Okay.
They just recently opened Amazon in Ireland. How do you see that? Is it any worth trying right now, as it's like the beginning of the race? So you still...
I think for them it's just easy to do so since they have a lot of like offices and headquarters there, and they're super strongly present in the UK. So for them it's like, why not? I would say that is like I would guess, and maybe I'm totally wrong, it's their decision making was like, it's now so cheap to launch this new market that why don't do it? Even without any big plans, we're going to capture Ireland because it's like the next e-commerce, giant. Probably not. It's like, yeah, we have the warehouse there. We have all the network, all the logistics. We're already there with 9 out of 10 services. So why don't launch if like same language, same regulations? We already know what to do. Okay, let's launch it. So that's probably why I see the Ireland being it's the same with other countries such as the Netherlands, right?
Is it the same for the sellers as well? So they like, why not?
Yeah. Like when we launch Ireland, is like, switch it on and then just keep it running, and maybe some order will come. And I didn't check the stats, but it's probably like on the Swedish level.
Yeah, I would say
with like
so you would place that right there
I would place it
maybe before.
I would place it 9 just because it's English.
Yeah.
I love like Swedish language is super nice. I really like it. However, English is easier. So
yeah,
just because it's easier.
It is. I wish I could speak to you Swedish. All right. How about some other countries? And we still have like 3-4 places left. The next up would be probably Spain. How about Spain?
Right below Italy. Because the size, it's a little bit smaller. Amazon is a little bit less attractive there, while we say relatively. But still, it's one of the origin Amazon countries. So yeah, Spain's good.
Spain is good. And then let's say Poland.
Okay.
Poland is, I think it's a tricky question.
Okay.
With Allegro there, is it really worth trying Amazon? I know that, our CEO, Marcin Pondo, is a Polish citizen, really. I mean, he's becoming a Hungarian one, though. But still, what he is saying, like, Amazon is not really doing great there, doesn't really have any sales. But maybe it's the same as Ireland and Sweden, so why not?
Yeah, it's more or less... It's not like they're not doing great. They're not doing, I would say. It's they're not pushing. They just like launch it, and that's kind of it. The Amazon there is still at least 10 times smaller than Allegro. Probably, I checked last time, it was like 20 plus difference, 20x difference, right? So they're like super small. And I see it only as they acquire sellers. Because let's be honest, for them, they will make more money launching Polish manufacturers, which is a lot of them, and they're very skilled.
Just German.
Yeah, in Germany and in other countries, and push them into the countries. And their selling fees in their countries are probably bigger than profit from selling to Polish customers. That's, I would guess. So I think it's just like being there and not really pushing for like, why compete with Allegro? What's the point? Like, you're going to burn a lot of money and win the Polish market. Why? Right? It's the same for like Czech and Alza. Like, why to do it? Like, what's the point? So yeah. So for the expansion, like when someone asks me, we want to go to Poland, we want to launch Amazon Poland, I'm more on the Swedish side with like, it will make no difference if you launch to Polish Amazon or if you don't. But since the market is quite big, I would post it as 8.
8?
Yeah. So it's, guys, it's better than Ireland, but still.
Yeah, still like that. All right. Next one would be, I think, probably a good choice for the first part. The first rank. How about the US?
Obviously, I save it for number 1. I was hoping you were going to say that.
All right.
Biggest from from all the perspectives you can have, like just the biggest choice and usually the best choice. And even not the most complicated choice, to be honest, because in Europe, we develop a lot of rules, which you may or may not agree with, doesn't matter. But in terms of the VAT, in terms of the packaging taxes and ecological taxes and battery taxes and 6 different languages and 4 different currencies. In US, it's more like, just one ring rules them all, as they say. So yeah, so you solve it once.
Just yesterday, watched a load of the rings, so that was funny that you mentioned.
That's the karma.
Yeah, right.
So it's like you solve it once and then you have whole the market, which is pretty much the same in all the states. And for example, tax-wise, Amazon is the facilitator of the tax, so they can collect the local sales tax for you. However, in Europe, you need to collect it and file the VATs by yourself. So that's a small help there. However, there's obviously the import stuff, the import duties, which is changing every day right now. So if you can solve that, then go US number 1, obviously.
US is number 1. All right. So now let's talk about some markets in particular, starting with Germany. Zooming into Europe and European markets. We have Germany there. We have France, Italy, Spain. Germany that you put number 2. And some other countries like Italy and Spain and I forgot France, that are like in the mid tier, let's say, for Amazon. Popular categories are pretty much the same for France, Spain, and Italy, which are, unsurprisingly, electronics. But as for Germany, what I see is that categories are doing pretty much the same, no matter if we're talking about electronics, FMCG, or maybe home and deco. What would you say that these countries are special in, let's say, Germany, with probably the languages we talked about, which we mentioned already. But other than this language, what are the differences?
Like for me, and for the Amazon sellers, I don't think there is much of a difference, to be honest, because again, Amazon captures the certain customers and can clearly identify what they want to buy and what they're gonna buy. So that's why they can run on the high conversion rates. So the customers, Amazon Prime, especially the Prime subscribers, the Amazon Prime subscribers from Italy and from Germany behaving pretty much the same, right? There are some differences, but for today's discussion and for the sellers, I don't think that you need to think about, this category is bigger on that. Amazon probably is. It's just they're more similar than different, I would say, those Amazon customers. So sometimes you see that the Amazon customers are alike in those countries, and the differences between them are pretty small. However, on the general population level, the difference between customers is much, much bigger than the Amazon customers in those countries. So again, it's like if your product fits there, then don't be afraid and don't overthinking with Germans want this and Italians want that. Yes, sometimes you will see it, but to be honest, most of the time we launch the product pretty much on the same. We do the same stuff in France as we did in Germany, and it usually works.
So they are similar in a way. Yeah. Only the language, maybe the culture differs a bit, but when it comes to Prime users, it's pretty much the same.
Like maybe it's just like my inexperience. I don't know. Maybe there's some like high-level Amazon sellers who are actually curating each infographic to the style of the country. But what we do is like we obviously fix the language if it's necessary and the currency if it's necessary. But outside of that, if something we see it's working in Germany, then I would bet that why change it? Like use it in France, because the Prime subscribers in France are more or less the same, and we use it. We are not like overthinking that the French likes blue and the Germans likes red or whatever. Like, no, not really.
But Amazon is booming in these countries still. So when it comes to marketplace, I think this is the number one of all of these countries.
Yes,
in all of these countries
by far.
Still, what we see that the share of e-commerce sales, even in these countries for local sellers, only the half of their sales comes from marketplaces like Amazon in particular. Why do you think that this is? And are local sellers sometimes not selling Italian sellers, for example, on the Italian Amazon, or German sellers on the German Amazon? Is that happening, and why is it so if it is?
Again, Amazon make like European-wide, or in terms of the whole Amazon is worldwide, like ecosystem of the sellers. So again, in each country, you have some share of local sellers which are selling just on their platform because they want to keep it local, right? But in most categories, you will compete with the guys which are going worldwide, and they have some entity which doesn't even respect where they come from. It can be Chinese having US company or whatever. So your competition is usually European. It's usually not local. While you like the stats are that yes, in France there's more French sellers than French sellers in Spain, for example. However, it's like the local competition which is usually not your biggest problem. Your biggest problem are those like bigger who are pretty much everywhere. As we talk about it, like you go this country and that country, that's what already like a lot of brands already did in the last decades. So your competitors, you will meet when we expand one product, we usually meet with the same competitors on the market, always on Amazon. It's like because the one brand did the same as we want to do. So sometimes in some cases it's localized, but mostly the best are just everywhere.
Moving on to the UK, I was wondering, now that we're talking about cross-border expansion with Amazon, would you say that there is a certain order in which you maybe want to enter other countries and maybe other Amazon countries. Maybe there are other marketplaces that could be like a lesson for you to learn. Like, would you say that you have to try eMAG first, Allegro, and then Amazon? Would you say that first you should go to Germany, experience that, and then go to the UK and then to the US?
That's a good question. First of all, usually we start Germany or US. UK is like somewhere in between. That's why I posted as a third, because it's like big as Germany or almost as Germany. However, there's this like one problem with the delivery. So it's like, if you want to go in like something which is big and close, go Germany. If you want something which is super big, go US. So it's usually like Germany or US first, and then we go UK. This is like number 3. So that's how we do it. And in terms of the other platforms, you don't need experience from other platforms. It's usually other way around. When I meet super small seller, like let's say less than €1 million per year annual revenue, then it's like the complexity of Amazon will eat you. No matter what country, it doesn't really matter if you pick Germany or US, it's like pretty much the same. But it's not like there are requirements. You don't need to have like these obstacles. However, all the competitors are doing that. So if you don't do that, for example, you don't have trademark, European or worldwide trademark, the World Intellectual Property Office trademark. It's like you don't have it, you are in a vast disadvantage against your competitors. So if some super small or beginner comes to me, I'm saying, ignore Amazon, just go and other platforms, and they're much smaller, but they're also much easier to manage. And you can do it by your own. You don't need anyone. You can like spend a couple of nights learning that, and you can, get. I just on the way here, I got the chat on the WhatsApp with one of clients of mine. He asked me, I want to list because we do very good on Amazon Germany, and we're preparing other countries. But I say, by the time I have we already launched Polish website. So David, can you help me with Allegro? And I was like, man, sorry, no. It's like, I'm fully focused on Amazon.
Just tell them that we can.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, okay, I will figure it out. And he messaged me like 3 days. Oh, I get it. Here's your life. I was like, you did it on yourself, right? I was like, yeah, just sit there. And it was like, fine. So those platforms are usually much easier to manage. So that's why I say, if you are not on this minimum threshold for Amazon, you can try other just for you that you will not get lost. But you don't need the experience from the other platforms to be successful on Amazon, and other way around. Just that does not guarantee. If you're like successful on Amazon, you will probably be successful everywhere else because you succeed in the Champions League. That's why if you're going lower, then probably you will crush it as well. It doesn't work other way around, because if you're like, as my favorite football team from Slavia Prague, very good in Czech, not that good on European level, that's like, do not correlate. So yeah.
Very much similar with Frode in Hungary.
Okay.
With Ferencváros. Yeah. All right. You were saying that you would recommend first Germany for a Polish or a Czech seller, first Germany, then the US, then the UK because of logistic complexity. But now we're talking about like shipping not with FBA, so shipping directly from Poland, let's say, to Amazon customers in Germany. If we're talking about FBA, I know that Amazon right now is developing their logistic offerings quite big and quite hard. So like 30 minutes or 50 minutes sometimes is possible. Like quick commerce is doing very great, and FMCG is pretty popular as a product category in the UK as well. What would you recommend for, let's say, sellers that are just starting when it comes to FBA? Should they go with FBA? Should they go with FBM, fulfilled by merchant, or fulfilled by Amazon?
If they have their own brand, they kind of must do FBA. And this is one of the complexities for the smaller sellers I just point out, which is it's not mandatory. You don't need to do it. However, if you do the analysis properly, you see, okay, out of 50 my competitors, 49 are FBA. So the answer is obvious, right? So you don't need to do it. You can be FBM. However, it will not work for your brand usually that well. There are some exceptions if you have like very large stuff. If you sell something which is pretty heavy, then obviously you can't do it FBA. Or if you're a distributor and you're selling something which already has traction, if you're reselling electronics, which already someone knows the brand, that there are many competitors and you compete mostly on the price, then the delivery, you don't need to be an FBA because customers already buy hundreds of those. You can, plug and play with FBM. But if we're talking about the brands, which we probably talking the most, then I would say is the must have. Even if it doesn't say must, I would say must have.
You might want to outsource logistics to Amazon if you have
and not for the speed. Here's the point. No, I'm like, right now the logistics is so commoditized in Czech Republic that to deliver to Germany is the same as Germans deliver to Germany. It's not the case of the speed. In terms of in some cases, in some cities, if the respective product is in the warehouse near the city, you can have it the same day. Yes, but on the general level, no, it's like next day is the standard. But we can do the next day from other countries. That's not the problem anymore. The problem is you are not the prime. And the prime customers are the ones who are most, they're spending the most, 3 to 3 times more than average customer on Amazon. And they sometimes shop only on Prime. So it's like they click filter Prime and you're not visible for them, right? So you're not targeting the most valuable customers of Amazon, which is the actual reason why you should go on Amazon. So it's like, yes, FBM is a possibility, and we sometimes use it in some cases, but for the new brand, FBA, 9 out of 10 cases.
Would you be able to participate in the Prime program if you are not really fulfilling from Germany to the German customers? So if you cannot really hit this kind of delivery expectations of Amazon, would you be able to ship from Poland or maybe Hungary? Let's say if you're a Hungarian seller. So it's like 3 days, I would say, 2 to 3 days at least to Germany most of the times.
I don't think it's going to work because the Prime members want too fast. Yeah, so even Amazon is giving the certifications. It's pretty minimal, but like non-Amazon warehouses can have the Prime, self-fulfill Prime is called. So if your fulfillment is so great that they can hit the Amazon levels, you can get Amazon Prime badge without having actually moving your inventory. While this is pretty minimal and not everyone is hitting that, and most of the Prime is actually in Amazon warehouse. And again, the valuable stuff about the Prime is not just the speed; it's mostly the marketing around it.
And what would you say the key to success would be in the UK market for European sellers? What should they prepare for? What should they do? Do you have like a rule of thumb for them?
Like for the UK, like the rules, as I said, the Amazon catalogs are pretty much same. The rules are pretty much the same. If you crack the country, import duties and some other requirements, if there are some in terms of, for example, some limitations on category restrictions, so you need to obey some local laws. If you crack that, then Amazon is the same. That's why I love doing that, because I can take a no-name brand and we can start to sell in UK without actually ever being in UK. So the Amazon catalogs are more same, that they're different. They're actually almost identical. So outside the local requirements, which are applied to general, market, not just Amazon, then you're good to go. There's nothing like same rules, like same analysis, everything is same.
And would you say that in the US market is that's the same? Is that the same? Or is this like a dream market for the European sellers that they can maybe hit if they are scaling good and if they are very aggressive? Maybe they can enter this market, but it's not for the long run. Maybe it's just a hassle that they can do.
The rules are same, again, with some small exceptions, but the rules are mostly the same. If your product is already winning in some other country, that's a huge help. Not only Amazon sees it, so they can import the reviews. They see that the product was successful somewhere else, so they will give you a hint a little bit. And again, the same game. Like you analyze your competitors, which in US will probably be much harder than in other countries just by the size of the market, and you're competing on a whole like continent level, not just in country level. But again, if you can crack that and, it shows that you have potential and you already have potential somewhere else, let's do it. There isn't anything inherently complicated about that, I would say, with some small exceptions, obviously.
And would you say that the product and the brand, just as you were telling me about the European markets, is that the same in America, or is it more like the product rather than the brand there?
It's like for For sellers, I'm taking care of. All sellers I communicate with, it's about the product. To be honest, my portfolio is brands you wouldn't know because I'm not hitting the big brands so far. Maybe I will like, if you do Lego or other company like that, then like your job is a little bit easier because they already invest billions over the years into the market. So even you will see it reflects the Amazon. It's easy. You measure the search on your brand on Amazon, which is usually 0 if you're starting. I saw some like brands I consider big. I checked their brand search on Amazon and it was like, dozens of people. It was like, okay, so you invest millions and still there's this small fraction of people searching for you. However, most of the brands starting from 0 or near 0. So just use whatever works on other market. Like if Amazon Germany works this, then I would just, in the beginning, I would just use what works and do not overcomplicate it with Americans want something different. Like, yeah, maybe, but you will see in the long run. But the first years, the product will push you. If you have good product, if you have like just heavy marketing budget, which you can invest outside, then good for you. And everything will be smoother. And you will see, and I'm helping one brand, which is investing heavily in social media. And we see it on Amazon that like they push some campaigns and the search for the product goes up. They, stop the campaigns and the search for the product goes down. So it's helping here and there. However, the fundamental is the product must have good reviews and good pricing. Otherwise, no one would buy it, even if you would show it on the billboards on Times Square.
So like you're saying, the products, if they are selling, then it's good.
Yeah.
If you have your own brand, marketplaces are not really for brand recognition building. And you have to find the right products in your portfolio that you can limit your offering to and then start selling on Amazon. Those products only and not really anything else.
Of course, it's possible. It's just Amazon is great at like capturing the buying intent. So you need to have some buying intent. That's the kind of problem that if you have product which is completely new and nobody knows it exists, you need social media to show on a video how it actually works. So all the viral products, they usually starts on a social in a video format, which is much better and much more viral that you can show it to millions of people in the minutes. Then Amazon is more like you have this new solution to old problem, then you can be shown and you can be shown to people who have super high buying intent.
But you need the problem first.
You need the problem solution. So if you have something which is like completely new and the category doesn't exist for it, or the demand on the marketplace is not there, that would be super inefficient, because then who are you going to show it? If it's on the buying intent, and you need the video for it. So there's this like the old saying that like seen on TikTok, bought on Amazon. That's the category you talk about.
Do you have an example of your clients that are building brands and selling on Amazon in a way?
As I said, I'm not representing sellers that are overspending outside Amazon, to be honest, because I'm trying to pick the very good products which can sell by their own, to be honest, that we rely on a product statistics that's like we have a good product on its own and they can build around that. So usually my clients, their first product, their first market or first channel on the market is Amazon, and they build around it. So the presence, so they see, okay, this is working, we're going to launch it on the website and so on, and then see the traction. But I don't do some extensive, or my clients are doing some extensive investments on the social media, paying high level influencers to push some brand. I see it because my own portfolio starts 2025, right? So I feel that it needs some time to capture those kind of clients, need to grow into this respective size that they're able to do so.
But there's still this exception, like with the baby carrier. You do have the video saved on your...
Yeah, we talk about that in a minute. That it's not my client. I just saw it on the internet and I save it as a good example that there was a founder, a lady who did some like hangers for the baby, which the mother can rest
some like carrier or something.
Carrier. And she grew the brand on the videos that she was actually on like airport or train station. She was giving it to the mothers. Hey, try this and record the reactions. So it cost nothing actually to produce it and to publish it. And it was like millions of people. And you can immediately see the search on Amazon goes up and people buys it because they saw it viral. But if you want this, like this same effect happened only on Amazon, it would take months or years to like consistently develop yourself inside the category versus you did this viral video. Probably the best example people know is the Stanley Cup case, which like I would argue if it was scripted or not, who never knows, a little bit of conspiracy. But yeah, you like one video of the like burned car and the cup was untouched. And then, you know, it spiked the whole. If you would love to do the same exposure on the marketplaces, it would take months or years.
And you also have to burn a car.
And you also need to burn a car and then donate the new one to the owner and act like there was accident.
No, right. As we covered all of these markets right now and then talked about the opportunities and challenges, now we're going to move on to a lightning round. So let's now do that. In the lightning round, I'm going to ask David to reflect on statements that I'm going to give him with a short answer, yes or no, maybe some short explanation if that's necessary. All right, so the first one will be a very quick one. Europe is easier than the US. Yes or no?
No, because of the rules. It's sometimes easier in our minds of Europeans that is closer, that I'm going to start in Europe because it's like closer, not that dangerous as the US far away. But in terms of the requirements in most categories, it's, funnily enough, it's easier to go in US.
So myth busted, pretty much. All right. How about the next one? Amazon is becoming a logistics company in quite a few ways rather than a marketplace. I see that TikTok Shop is doing better and better every year. Is it a real threat to Amazon? Do you see it the same way? Amazon is a logistic company now?
Amazon, it is and always was a logistic company. And with like, if we take TikTok Shop or like agentic, you know, buyers inside the LLMs, it doesn't really matter, I would say, for Amazon, because they still see it as, guys, you really need to deliver it in the end. So whatever new platform will, you know, come up next year, we don't need to be on the discovery level if we are on the shipping level, because you still need the stuff to be delivered. So that's why they implement the buy with Prime everywhere. So they can be the, you know, the primary delivery method for all of those new, whatever social media, whatever platform will raise up. They will still need someone who will deliver the packages. So I think the Amazon pretty smartly identified that, and they still are a logistic company and will be a logistic company.
But also marketplace at the same time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not going to stop this anymore. All right, private label is dead. What do you think about this?
No, of course not. It's obviously, you know, in last 10 years, it's shifting towards more and more private labels because people want the control and people see the margins. However, how the manufacturing become, you know, it's easier to get something manufactured. Then the private labels pops up and then everyone has a private label. And now the races among like who have a better marketing budgets that they can capture the customers. But it's still the winning formula on Amazon, and there's still more and more private labels. So I started in the years when our agency actually grew on the distributors, when we were connecting, you know, very well-known brands and their distributors with FBM, and we saw the rise of the private labels, because this model of the distributors is like no longer that lucrative anymore for everyone. It's for less and less fraction of sellers who have like super high, super low, you know, costs, and they can deliver fast and everything. It's become a pricing war, obviously. But the private labels is like your own space, so that's why it's still like sexy model, and you know, you owning part of it. Because if you're reselling some part of the brand on Amazon, it's like there's Amazon as a seller, because for the customer, I buy it on Amazon. I don't know who was the actual you know, entity on an invoice, and I buy some brand.
You don't really care.
Yes. Yeah. So you wanna own a part of it, which is, I bought it on Amazon, but it's my brand, right? So no, it's not, definitely not that.
Okay, let's move on to recent news and developments. So Now you mentioned agentic AI. I was wondering, how do you see, as an Amazon expert yourself, the restrictions on the one hand and lawsuits that Amazon right now has against some other kind of agentic AIs and LLMs like Perplexity and ChatGPT, and the rise of their own shopping agent like Rufus and the Alexa Plus, like that. How do you see that?
To the second question, I don't see much of a difference in the shopping, well, like before and after Rufus.
Mm-hmm.
The change is probably happening in a way that the AI model can read the context. So no longer the old tricks. I remember the time where like spamming some kind of keywords, and more times you spam it, better ranks you have.
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago, doesn't work anymore, because the AI can actually get the context without you pushing the exact word.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier for us to, if you explain properly what you're selling, then the AI can understand it, right? But I don't see much of a difference in like that the customers will somehow change because of the Rufus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like fundamentals are still the same. And but the agentic AI, this is a huge opportunity for the buy with Prime, because I could see a possibility that Amazon will come to some LLM and say, hey guys, I will give you some money and I will be the exclusively on that. So you will have chance to buy everything which is on Amazon, but not outside Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's a $1 billion for it, and they will lock themselves as the only vendor, right?
And also 350 million products,
and probably even more.
Like all the products in the world, probably.
Yeah, it's like right now the Shopify locked it with the contract. So it's like, yes, if you're on Shopify, you can add, you have access in some LLMs as a checkout. But Amazon can do the same with their Prime, and I could see that same with the TikTok shop. Is like, hey, show whatever you want. It's just like, once you want to sell it, you need to deliver it. Use this button. And it's the same, like, do whatever you want. If just once you want to deliver it, there's this Prime button. So I see that as the biggest opportunity for Amazon sell. But again, for me as the like representative of the seller, nothing really changed that dramatically. It's still, the fundamentals are the same. If the customers come from this side or that side, is still as I said, the rules are pretty much the same.
And as we're talking about opportunities for Amazon to grow, let's talk about challenges as well. So Temu and Shein are putting some, heat on Amazon there, because they're like massively saturating some markets, especially in Europe, where Amazon is present. I know that they are a lower budget kind of marketplace, but is this something that affects Amazon in any way? And what do you see as a maybe next step for Amazon to fight these Asian players, like Asian invasion, as Martin sometimes calls it?
We saw Amazon was, for the first time in many years, reacting pretty heavily to the Temu mainly, which was they get to China, lower the fees to Chinese sellers, and just like want them back. They launched their Haul, which was like the actually like low cost Amazon site with like the stuff for a couple of bucks, which was like Temu just launched by Amazon, which I don't think works that well from numbers I saw. But like for the first time in like, because every single year I read that there is the new Amazon killer, right? Oh, this Walmart was Amazon killer, then Target was Amazon killer, then someone else is Amazon killer, AliExpress was Amazon killer. Now
it's like a cat that has 9 lives.
Yeah, and they're still growing 20%, and they're probably like, guys, come on. But for the first time, they were like, they actually do a lot of reaction. So it's like they feel it, I would say. But still, if you force Temu or Shein on anyone to actually respect the same rules as the other platforms, that if you have the warehouses here, then you need to pay VATs and everything, then you play the same game. And then Amazon is much better at this game, at the fast delivery and everything. So they may lost in the low cost like section, and they probably have some losses. However, I would say that, again, the fundamentals of the Prime, you prepay for the videos, you prepay for the Twitch, you for the Audible, and then some other stuff. This will probably still be the same. So I don't think that long term this will dramatically affect Amazon position outside some markets, some categories. Maybe I would say it can, and it obviously probably changing their margins because now as everyone is feeling they're overbidding on every single keyword that they can. So it's probably they have some losses on the profit level. I would say that they would have higher profit if there wouldn't be any Temu. That's probably the possible. Even if I saw the last financials, they still doing good. So.
As it seems, yeah. David, as for our final word, what would you give as an advice to the European sellers? Maybe what are the mistakes that you learned over the years that they should not really fall into? What is your recommendations? Maybe what are your recommendations? Maybe.
It largely depends if they already are on Amazon or they are not, or they're, in other words, if they're expanding or not. If you're super small, as we said, less than €1 million per year, ignore and you are not from a country where Amazon is native, right? If you're a German company, then obviously everything is easier because you just comply with the rules automatically. But if you're like company from any other country, and you are small, ignore Amazon. It's like you're gonna want to kill yourself after a couple of weeks with them. You don't want to do that. If you're a little bit bigger and you have appetite to expand, then do the homework on Amazon. Maybe, probably, I would guess, it's the fastest way to get first customers in the Western countries. So that would be that.
All right. Thank you for being here. It was very nice. If our listeners want to connect with you, where can they find you?
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. If they want, they can find me. There's not that many people with this strange name as I have. Put it into a translator. What is my last name means in my language? You will laugh like you are. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'll sometimes post that, and I will be present. During the summer we will have a marketplace workshop here in Budapest. So we don't have by the time we record it, we don't have a exact date, but we'll post it. So,
but make sure to sign up to our newsletter, CrossBorder24, and then you're gonna be kept updated about the upcoming dates, as well as the next edition of the Marketplace and Cross Border Summit that will happen next year in February. We are very much preparing for this. We are very excited, but I think you're gonna also have some other opportunities to meet David or me and everything else in the team, as well as in the cross-border commerce associations that we are a very proud founding members of. So from CrossBorder24 and from David himself, I thank you for listening. Let me just give you like a very, very straight on-point summary of all that we discussed. Let's say Europe gives you fragmentation. The UK gives you a bit of a separation. And then the US gives you scale and pressure as well. So if you're interested in Amazon, make sure to contact us, subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us everywhere else as well. And I hope that we can also meet and maybe start your expansion just like that. Tomorrow we can do it. There are tools, there are experts, and then what else would you need? So thanks very much for listening and see you soon.